Unit 6 mock exemplar question number 9. Match the following standard forms to the factored forms from the list of choices provided. So it says match the following standard forms. All right. So these two expressions right here are written in what form? Standard form. So we need to try to find the factored forms, all right, from the list given here. So all of these are given in what form? Factored form, all right? And we know that because we see two pairs of what? Yup, parentheses. So the answers that we have here should end up having two pairs of parentheses, okay? So let's go ahead and let's try to factor my first equation. So I'm going to factor it on the next sheet of paper. So I would have 3x squared minus 12x. I'm going to try to factor this, okay? When I try to factor this, guys, factoring is technically trying to figure out what two things they have in common for this question specifically, all right? So again, guys, we see that there's a missing term. There's the x term that's missing, so we cannot use slide and divide. It will not work, all right? So what we're going to do is that we're going to factor out the GCF, or the greatest common factor. So each of these two terms can both be divided by what number? 3, because this can be divided by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. And negative 12 can be divided by 3. Negative 12 divided by 3 is negative 4. This has an x squared. This does not have an x squared. So the only factor that we can factor out is just the 3. So I'm going to factor out the 3. And I'm going to write what is remaining inside of a parentheses. Okay? So when you factor out the 3, it's like you're dividing this term by 3. 3x squared divided by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1, and then we can't divide the x squared, so you bring it down, okay? Now we're at the next term. Negative 12 divided by 3 is negative 4, all right? And you guys should realize that this is a difference of squares, all right? Which can be simplified a little bit more. So it's kind of like when we simplify completely, all right? So the 3 right here, you're going to bring it down. All right, and you're going to ask yourself, can I simplify more? So that's what you're going to ask yourself. Can I simplify more? All right, the same things that I show you guys in class. The way we know we can simplify more is if I see a negative. All right, that's what I've always told you. If you see a negative, that gives you the possibility. But it doesn't mean that you should, okay? You now ask yourself, what two same numbers, all right, multiply to give you, so same numbers multiply to give 4, all right? Do you know two same numbers? Yes, you do. 2 and 2. So that means you are going to simplify it more, all right? So we write 2 more pairs of parentheses so that we can write the actual factored form, okay, which would be x plus 2 and x minus 2, all right? And this would be the complete factored form, all right? So again, what we had to do first was factor the GCF, all right? So we had to factor the GCF, all right, which is the number they both had in common. So again, which is the number they had both in common. They both had in common. All right? Make sure you write all the things down on a separate sheet of paper, just like I'm doing here. All of this information will help you. All right? So again, guys, that is it for the first term. So here, I would have a 3x plus 2, x minus 2. And that would be this answer choice right here. Okay? So this answer choice here. Okay? So now let's do our next one, guys. Let's do our next one. All right? So when we do our next one, I'm going to push up my paper a little bit. I'm going to write the question down and then push my paper up a little bit. So again, make sure you write down all of this on a separate sheet of paper, okay? So when I'm doing this question, guys, okay, I realize that I see all three of my terms. It's in the general form, ax squared plus bx plus c. Because the leading coefficient is greater than 1, we're going to use the method called slide and divide, all right? So I'm going to take the leading coefficient, I'm going to slide it to the end, the x squared, I'm going to bring it down, the positive 9x, I'm going to bring it down, the 6 and the negative 6, I'm going to multiply them to get negative 36, okay? Now I'm going to go ahead and factor it, so I'm going to write 2 pairs of parentheses, okay? Then I'm going to go ahead and write my x and my x. What are all the numbers that multiply to give me 36? 1 and 36, 2 and 18, good job guys, 3 and 12, 4 and 9, 6 and 6, okay? Which pair do you think would add and subtract to give me a 9? Yup, 3 and 12, all right? So I'll write my 3 and my 12, okay? That's the option I would select, okay? And whenever I see a negative here, I think about different signs, all right? So the other hint you can use, again, it's going to be a positive and a negative, different signs, okay? So if we have a positive 3 and a negative 12, what is 3 take away 12? 3 take away 12 is negative 9. But do we need a negative 9? No, we need a positive 9. So if we did a positive 12 and a negative 3, 12 take away 3 is positive 9. All right? The hint you could have used was that a positive here, the bigger number has that sign. All right? And 12 is bigger than 3. So the 12 will be positive, the 3 is negative. The same we have it here. All right? So we just did the slide. What should we do now, guys? The divide. So I'm going to divide this term by 6, my same leading coefficient, the same thing I circled. I'm going to divide my 12 by 6, okay? So when I divide this term by 6, I can divide it, but I can simplify it, guys, all right? Because both 3 and 6 are divisible by 2, or rather by 3. So I'm going to simplify that. 3 divided by 3 is negative 1. 6 divided by 3 is 2, okay? And then when I divide here, I get x plus 12 divided by 6 is 2, okay? So because both of these can be divided kind of by that 3, guys, right? We have to make sure that that 3 is also being represented in front, all right? Because again, both of these could be simplified by 3, okay? So I can't divide this anymore. So I take the denominator, put it in front of the numerator, and then at the 3 I bring it down, and this will now become 2x minus 1 and x plus 2. Alright? So again, guys, that would be the factored form for my answer. Alright? So let's see if we see that answer anywhere, guys. Let's see if we see that answer anywhere. So if I look, I do see that answer right here. Alright? So that would be this answer right here. Okay? So, bam. That would be this. So again, 3, 2x minus 1, and x plus 2. So that would be this answer right here. Another way you could get it is by foiling, guys. So again, I'll show you another way that you could get this answer. Alright? You could expand all of these, but that's going to take a lot of time. So you could write this out. Okay? You could write this out. And then go ahead and multiply, because this 3 is in front. Multiply by these two terms only. So you will get 6x and then negative 3. Alright? And then now multiply it by what you see in this parentheses. So multiply these terms. Alright? 6x times x is 6x squared. 6x times positive 2 is positive 12x. Now distribute the negative 3. Negative 3 times x is negative 3x. And negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. Okay? And if I combine these only two like terms right here, the 6x squared, you bring it down. 12x minus 3x is positive 9x, and the negative 6 you bring down. Alright, so you could have went ahead and expanded each of these to get the answers. However, that is a little longer than what we would have, because you'd have to do it for each of them to see which one would match. Alright, that would work, okay, but it takes a little bit more time. Alright, so again, I wanted to show you all methods. This might actually be an easier method. Alright, this actually might be easier than what we did here. Alright. So again, I want to show you guys all of those methods. All right.